Hello everyone, welcome back to MalStorm Gaming. My name is Malachi, and today we're going to be playing through Deck of Wonders. And so I have Deck of Wonders all set up here, and we are going to dive right on in. So, in this game, we are going to be fighting against Cullin the Spoiled Prince. And so this is this nasty fella here, and we are going to be using the same deck of cards. So this is kind of like a solitaire version of like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering. Has a lot of shared DNA with those games, but unlike the aforementioned games, we are going to be using the same deck of cards for both ourselves and our opponent, rather than having our own deck for each of these two sides. So that's kind of an interesting thing there. In this game, the goal is we each have 20 hit points, and we're trying to reduce our opponent's life down to 0 before they reduce our life down to 0. And these are just dials I've taken from Marvel Champions, just to track that there. But you can use any dial or pen and paper or anything you like to track health. The game does come with little health trackers like this one here, where you're going to have two cards like that, and you can slide on down like that to track their health. But for the video, I figured it would just be easier to use the dials, which is what I normally use, but it's all the same just for tracking health. Now, it is important to note that in a normal game of Deck of Wonders, the player and the enemy do both each have 30 hit points, but for Cullin, he has this impatient ability here that says that both the player and Cullin start with 20 health. So that's just one slight difference there. For playing against Cullin, the games will be a little bit shorter than usual. Like I said, we have our shared deck of cards here, which is all shuffled up. Now we do have this nice turn tracker, play reference card here, listing out what happens on the player turn and then on the villain turn there, so we can go through this here. So the deck is already shuffled up, so we'll be able to dive right on in. And so the first thing that happens on the player turn is you draw one card. But on the first turn, you get to draw 4 cards. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have our 4 cards here. So we have Guerrilla Warfare, the Earth Shield, Pixie Mesmerist, and Pixie Cavalry. And during your first turn, when you draw your 4 initial cards, you can take a mulligan by discarding those cards and drawing 4 new ones. But I think that I will keep this hand. This seems like a pretty balanced hand here. Then, from here, we can go ahead and play cards from our hand and attack the enemy here. So there are 2 types of cards in the game. There are creatures, like this Pixie Cavalry here, and they are going to be our main way of attacking. Now, you will note that every one of these cards is split into 2. There's a top half, which is what the player is going to reference, and then there's the bottom half, which is what the AI is going to be using to fight us. We have our creatures here with their 3 main stats. We have their attack, which is how much damage they do, their priority, which is how important it is to the enemy for them to be removed from the game. So in terms of enemy targeting, which we'll get into during the enemy's turn, they will attack creatures with higher priority before they attack creatures with lower priority there. And then finally we have their health, which is denoting how much damage they can take before they are destroyed. So we have our Pixie Cavalry here and our Pixie Mesmerist. Neither of these have special abilities, but if they did, there would be some stats there. We also have Earth Shield and Guerrilla Warfare, and these are spells, as denoted by the swirl icons up top there, replacing the slots where the stats would go. And these cards are going to be special things we can do. We can just play them from our hand during our turn, and then they're going to do some sort of effect, and then they're going to be placed in the discard pile after they are resolved. So, those are the 2 different card types there. And so we can play these cards, and they, in general, don't cost us anything. We can just play as many as we want. But keeping in mind, we're only going to be drawing 1 card per turn, so we may want to pace ourselves in order to be able to react to our opponents. Some cards will have a cost listed on them that we will need to fulfill in order to play them. It generally consists of discarding cards, but in general, we can just play whatever we want. So, I think I want to start off by just playing this Pixie Mesmerist to get ourselves a creature out there. And so when you play a creature, you're going to play it exhausted, so it's going to be turned sideways there, and we can't do anything with this creature, but at the end of our turn, we're going to ready it. And so we can continue to play cards that we want to put out there, but when we're done, we can stop and we will go ahead and end our turn. Now, I think that I will just have the Pixie Mesmerist go out there, and I think that will be how I end my turn. So now I will ready this creature so that next turn I can attack. Going on to the villain phase here. Normally we play one card on the villain turn from the deck, but seeing this as this is the first turn, we're going to go ahead and play 3 cards. So just like the players, they're going to start off with getting more cards than they normally get. So we're going to play 3 of them. So starting with our first card, we're going to flip them like this so that we actually play the bottom half. And this is the Forest Troll here. And this guy's really nasty with 5 attack and 3 health. But normally, when you play him, you're going to destroy one other villain minion. Unfortunately, there are no other villain minions to destroy. So the villain here is going to get just a free troll out there without having to pay any cost, unfortunately. You will notice that there's a little sticker here that I placed there. This game does have some legacy elements to it, including some different legacy packs that once you fulfill some sort of condition, such as having 2 Forest Trolls ready on the player side at the same time, or defeating Cullin with 10 or more health remaining, you will then open these packs and reveal what is inside. I have played and opened up both of these packs here, but for spoiler reasons, I have not included any of their contents in this game, so this is exactly how it is when you first get it. But there are those packs there, and then there are also some stickers you get to place on your cards as you win games to change what the cards do. So, for example, this sticker makes this card cost 1 less to play it. So normally I have to discard 2 cards to play it, but with this sticker I can only need to discard 1 of those. But that's not going to impact this villain card, so we're going to go ahead and play this. Now, our creatures, when we play them, enter play exhausted, like I demonstrated earlier. The enemy's cards come into play ready, and they're going to attack right away. After they play all their cards, they're going to attack. And so that is one way that the enemy's creatures are nastier than ours. So, second card here is going to be the Reinforced Dam, which has the Taunt ability. So this guy has 0 attack and 4 health there. So, pretty weak, right? But he has Taunt, which means that we need to attack him and destroy him before we can fight any of the other enemy minions or attack the enemy Cullin himself. So, he's going to go out there, and he's going to be, well, creating a shield that we have to get through in order to fight the other guys. Finally, we have the Earth Shield, which is a literal shield, and this is a spell, and it says place onto a villain minion, and then they're going to draw an additional card. And the first time that minion takes damage, we're going to make that damage 0 and discard this card. So, I'm going to go ahead and give this to the Forest Troll here, though I don't think it's going to matter too much. And then we'll draw the bonus card there, and it is a Gnomish Servant, which it's a really weak guy with just 1 and 1 for his stats, but when we play him, he's going to get an extra card, so we'll draw another card, and it is a Hungry Wolf with 3 attack and 1 health there. Now we're gonna, so that's all their cards, and they got a bunch of cards there. So, not great, but next up we get to go to the Battle Lines phase. And during this phase, we are going to order our creatures, and then we're going to order the creatures of the opponents. Now, for the players, we're going to order them in player priority order. So this guy's a 4, so this one's going to go furthest to the left. This will be the first creature they fight. If we had someone else, such as this Pixie Cavalry on play, this 2 would go after the 4. And if we had any ties, we would be able to choose how we put those into play, so we get to choose how the enemies fight them. But we just have 1 here, so this will go in the only spot in our battle line. Now, for the enemies, we get to choose which order they'll attack, but they all will attack us. Let's go ahead and, so we'll be able to do that. And when an enemy minion attacks, we're going to exhaust them, and they're going to deal their damage, which in this case would be 0. But let's take a different one. Let's take this one here. They will deal their damage, which in this case would be 1, to either ourselves personally, deducting 1 hit point from our tracker here, or they will attack our creature here. Now, the way they determine who they're going to attack is they will look at the creature with the highest priority, and they will check to see if all of them individually attacked the Pixie Mesmerist here, would they be able to destroy it or not? Now, the Pixie Mesmerist only has 2 hit points, and if you added up all of their attack strengths here, you'd end up with 9, so they definitely are able to destroy this if they all combine their attacks, and so they will try to target the Pixie Mesmerist. Now, if on the other hand, they were only able to do a total of 1 damage, that is not enough to take out the Pixie Mesmerist, even if they all attacked. If you got to that point, instead of attacking the Mesmerist here, they would just go and directly damage us. So, they would prefer to kill our creatures, but if they can't do that, they'll just go ahead and wound us. So, we choose how we want to apply this damage, and so I'm going to go ahead and start with the Reinforced Dam. So we're going to exhaust this, and the Reinforced Dam will do 0 damage to our Pixie Mesmerist. Now, 0 damage really doesn't mean anything in most cases, but it still counts as them doing damage, and they still do need to attack. So they will do 0 damage to our Pixie Mesmerist, and then our Mesmerist actually gets to fight back. So every time there's an exchange in blows, no matter who is initiating the attack, both sides get a hit in simultaneously. So 0 damage is dealt to the Mesmerist, she still has 2 health, and then 1 damage is going to be dealt to the Dam here, so that brings it down to 3 health, but at the end of every turn, all health is just going to be regenerated, so we're not going to need to track that anyway. Okay, next up, we'll go ahead and have the Gnomish Servant attack. So they're going to do 1 damage to the Pixie Mesmerist, and the Mesmerist is going to do 1 damage to the Servant here, meaning that their health will be reduced to 0, meaning that card is discarded. So we'll go ahead and place that in our discard pile over here. And then, our Mesmerist has 1 health, and so we get to choose. We could either have the Hungry Wolf attack next, meaning that the Hungry Wolf would then deal 3 damage to the Mesmerist, destroying it, and the Mesmerist would do 1 damage to the Wolf, destroying it, or we could have the Forest Troll attack the Mesmerist, meaning that the Mesmerist will die anyway, because the 5 damage from the Troll would destroy it, but we get to choose, in a sense, do we want the, but one of the two, but either way, the Mesmerist will die, and one of the other creatures will be able to hit us, because after one of them attacks, the Mesmerist is going to die. So we have to choose, do we want to kill the Hungry Wolf and take 5 damage, or do we want to block the Forest Troll and have the Hungry Wolf still be alive and hit us for 3? I think it'd be a better idea to have the Hungry Wolf attack next. So 3 damage is going to be dealt to the Mesmerist, thus destroying it, and then 1 damage is going to be dealt to the Hungry Wolf, thus destroying it. And if there's ever a time when multiple cards would be discarded at the same time, such as in this attack here, where both these cards are discarded at once, we do get to choose how we want to order them, because that will matter for some cards. So we'll put that there. Then, the Forest Troll will attack us, dealing 5 damage to us, since we have no creatures left, and we are down a quarter of our health already. So, not off to a super great start, but we were able to take out 2 of the enemy creatures with just 1 of our own. That is going to be their turn there, so we're going to ready all of their cards, and we're going to move back on to our turn. So, we will go ahead and draw a card, adding it to our hand, and we have 2 copies of Guerrilla Warfare here, which is fantastic, because if you see here, it says if the villain has 2 or more villains in play, which they do, we get to draw 2 cards. So this is actually perfect. So I'm going to play this card here, and I will be able to draw 2 cards since they have 2 minions. And then I'm going to play the other one to draw 2 more cards. So now I have a whole bunch of cards here. So let's go through here. We already saw what the Earth Shield does for the villain, and it does basically the same thing here, where we get to put it onto one of our minions, and it will block the next source of damage dealt to them. The Treant Shepherd costs 1 discard in order to play it, but then when we do play it, we draw 1, replacing it, and it has 3s all along its stats there, so very nice, solid character there. The Gust of Wind destroys all minions with 1 base health, and that does affect both their minions and our minions. And then we have the Hungry Wolf, which we saw with the enemies, and so this guy is basically the same thing. He's got 3 attack, 3 priority, and 1 health. And finally, we have another copy of the Pixie Mesmerist. We also have our Pixie Cavalry, so that is a 2 for attack, 2 for priority, and 3 for health there. So, we get to choose what we want to play. I think it'd be cool to play this Treant Shepherd, so let's play that. It's played Exhausted, And now we have to choose one of these to discard, and I will discard this Gust of Wind. So we'll discard that. And then after playing the Shepherd here, we get to draw a card, and we get our own Gnomish Servant, which is once along its stat line, and when we play it, we draw one card. And there are literally no downsides to playing this at this moment, so we'll go ahead and play that, and we get to replace it with a new card, which is Regeneration. This says, if a minion is on top of the discard, move it into play exhausted, and do not resolve its card text. So, this is one of the cards that does look at the discard pile order. So, right now we have Gust of Wind, which we just discarded, but if we had discarded the Hungry Wolf instead, we would have then been able to play, Regeneration to get that back, or something like that. So, we have a lot of creatures out here that we could play, and we need to get rid of some of these enemies here. So let's go ahead and play Hungry Wolf, and this is priority 3, so I'll go there. Let's play a Pixie Cavalry. Alright, let's go ahead and play Earth Shield, and then put that on the Treant Shepherd. And then we are left with these cards here. Now, we could play all of our creatures. Alright, let's play one more card. Let's play this Pixie Cavalry here. And so that will be put into play as well. And now our turn is going to be over. And we're going to draw one card for the villain turn. And it is Lightning Strike, which says destroy the highest priority player minion. Now, we have two minions, the Hungry Wolf and the Treant Shepherd, that both have 3 priority. So, we get to choose. And so in a case of a tie, we always get to choose. So let's go ahead and take out the Hungry Wolf, which is a little bit weaker right now. And we don't want to lose the Treant Shepherd, who also has the Earth Shield. So let's do that. And then we do get to choose the order we discard these cards. I think I'll put the Hungry Wolf on top, because then, well, I don't know, probably more cards will be discarded later on, but assuming that no other cards are discarded, then we'll be able to play Regeneration and get this wolf back. So, let's do that. Then we go to the battle line phase. So we have the Treant Shepherd here with a 3 priority, the Pixie Cavalry goes with 2, and then the Gnomish Servant with 1. So that's our order there, and the enemies will then attack in any order. So, I'm going to go start with the Forest Troll. So the Forest Troll is going to attack the Treant Shepherd. So it's going to do 5 damage to my Treant. But the Earth Shield will absorb all 5 damage, reducing it to 0, and then it is discarded. And then the Treant Shepherd will do 3 damage to the Forest Troll, and we'll get rid of its Earth Shield. And then the Reinforced Dam looks and sees that its 0 damage will not be able to take out the Treant Shepherd, and so it will deal its 0 damage to me, reducing me to, well, no damage is actually going to... So technically, in this case, damage is still dealt, even though the dial did not move at all. For effects of cards, such as the Earth Shield, 0 damage still counts as it being, dealt damage, so 0 damage would still discard an Earth Shield, even though the 0 damage doesn't actually affect my health total. So, that is their turn there. We'll go ahead and ready these cards, and we will draw a card, and it's back to us. So, unfortunately, my plan did not work. And Regeneration won't go off because no Earth Shield's on top, and it's not a creature. But if I wanted to, I could play this Poison Toad that we just drew, which has a cost of 1, discard, and then it has Poison, which says destroy any minion this minion deals damage to. So that's really helpful, because even though it only has 1 attack, it can kill anything it touches, which is cool. So what I could do is I could play Poison Toad, discarding this Pixie Mesmerist, and then, and then I could play Regeneration to get the Pixie Mesmerist back into play. I could do that. I do think I want to play the Poison Toad and discard the Mesmerist here, but I'm not sure if I actually want to use Regeneration on the Mesmerist, because I think I might want to wait for a more expensive card to be discarded. So, let's go ahead and do this. Now, we actually are finally in a position where we can use our creatures to fight, striking back at the Heart of Darkness. But before we attack anything else, we do need to take out this Reinforced Dam since it has Taunt. So, let's go ahead and attack with our Treant Shepherd and our Gnomish Treant Shepherd to the Reinforced Dam, so that reduces it down to 1 health, and 0 damage is dealt to the Shepherd here. We'll then attack with our Gnomish Servant, dealing 1 damage to the Reinforced Dam, destroying it, and then 0 damage will be dealt to the Gnomish Servant. And so far, I've done, so far my turns have been playing all my cards and then attacking, but it is important to note that I can attack with creatures and play my cards in any order. So since this Reinforced Dam is destroyed, I could now play this Regeneration to return it to retrieve that card, adding it to my hand. Actually, it goes right into play, but I could play this after attacking, or I could attack again and then play a card. You can do it in any order. Playing cards and attacking can happen in any order during your turn, so that is important to note. So I have one creature left, and it's 2 damage, so that's not enough to take out the Forest Troll, who has 3 health. So I will still attack with him, so I'll attack, and it will do 2 damage to Cullin, reducing him down to 18 life. Finally making some headway there. Now all my creatures are exhausted. The only thing I could do is play Regeneration, but I think I'll be able to discard this Forest Troll during the enemy's turn, so I want to save that to be able to regenerate the Forest Troll. So I'll ready all my creatures, thus ending my turn, and then I'll draw a new card here, and it is Regeneration. So the enemy played Regeneration, so even though I didn't get the Reinforced Dam, they're going to get it back. So if a minion is on top of the discard, move it into play exhausted, and then it's going to draw an extra card. So we're going to go ahead and draw an extra card, and it is a Forest Troll. So on play, we're going to destroy one other villain minion. Now, I do not like having 2 Forest Trolls out there, so this Forest Troll is going to destroy this other Forest Troll, which does give us a Forest Troll we can now regenerate on our turn. Just point that out there. But the first thing that's going to happen is the Forest Troll are going to attack us. So let's go ahead and make sure our battle line is in order. So we have our Treant Shepherd with 3, our Pixie Cavalry with 2, our Poison Toad with 2, and our Gnomish Servant with 1. So we can leave it how it is actually right now, or we could move the Poison Toad one step closer. It's not actually going to matter because there's only one enemy attacking, but you can choose how you break ties in this game, which is a very crucial part in ordering your characters, your creatures, in order to maximize their damaging potential. So, the Forest Troll is going to do 5 damage to our Treant Shepherd, thus destroying it, but before it dies, it is going to do 3 damage to the Forest Troll, thus destroying it. And we are going to choose to put the Forest Troll on top of the Treant Shepherd so we can regenerate it during our turn. So let's do that. We'll ready this Reinforced Dam, and then we'll draw our card. And it is Guerrilla Warfare. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the villain only has 1 creature in play, so we can't actually play this card for any effect. So we'll go ahead and play Regeneration, and we will regenerate Forest Troll. And the card does tell us to ignore any of its effects, so we don't have to pay its cost or anything like that. We just cheat it into play, which is fantastic. So next turn we'll be able to start attacking with it, which is amazing. Now we're going to move on. I can't play this like I mentioned, so let's go ahead and attack with our Poison Toad. And so it is going to do 1 damage to Reinforced Dam, and the dam is going to do 0 damage to it. So normally neither of them would die, but since the Poison Toad is, well, poisoned, since it did any number of damage to the Reinforced Dam, it is going to destroy it. And so we're going to go ahead and discard this card, and that is wonderful. Now I can attack with my Pixie Cavalry, doing 2 damage to Cullin, and then my Gnomish Servant is going to do 1. So now we are even, both 15 to 15. We'll end my turn there, readying all my creatures, and then we'll draw a card for the villain. And it's Baited Trap. And so we're going to destroy the lowest priority player minion, which is actually the Gnomish Servant, and I do not really care that he's gone, since he's just a 1/1 there. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that, and I will put him on top, because why not? Actually, I will have the Baited Trap on top there. We'll then draw a new card for our turn, and it is a Forest Troll, which costs 2 to discard if we're playing it normally, and so I can't play that. We'll then just swing with all of our creatures, set 2 for the Pixie Cavalry, a 3rd for the Poison Toad, and then the Forest Troll is going to be adding 5, so it's going to be 8 damage there. So we're going all the way down to 7 health there remaining. So that was a really nice swing there. We'll end my turn, and then we'll see what the enemy does. And it is Gust of Wind, and this is destroy all player minions with 1 base health. And unfortunately that takes out our Poison Toad, but he did quite a lot of damage, so sad to see him go, but he helped the cause greatly. We'll go ahead and draw a card for my turn, and it is a Pixie Cavalry. So I could now discard both of these cards to play this Forest Troll, so I will do that, but it's actually not going to matter because despite Cullin's best efforts, I'm going to swing for 5 with the Forest Troll and then 2 for the Pixie Cavalry. bringing him down all the way to 0 damage. He is defeated. Now, just to demonstrate, I'm not going to actually show you what's in here, but we did just defeat Cullin with more than 10 health remaining. So we would be able to open this up and see what's inside. And again, not going to spoil it, but each of these packs do have some cards that have some story flavor text describing what's going on in the game when this is opened, and then they'll have more cards that may change the rules of the game or add more cards to this deck that you unlock for future use, and you'll be able to play with those. So there's some cool things inside these packs. Again, not going to actually open it on camera here, but suffice to say, there's some fun stuff in these. Now that we did win the game, we do get to add one of these stickers to one of our cards, and so we're going to take the cards that we had in our deck, and some of them will have this upgrade symbol here that you'll note, and so you can take one of these upgrades and put it there. So each card in this game has 4 copies that you can put up to 4 copies of the same card in a deck, and only one of those will have that upgrade icon. So you can't just pick your favorite card and upgrade all copies of that card. You can only choose one. And so just going through all the options real quick, you can increase the health or strength of the player version of the card. You can add it to +1 card draw to the player side. You can decrease the cost of the player side by 1. You can decrease the villain health or strength of the villain side by 1, or you can decrease the card draw of the villain by 1. So, if we wanted to look at this, for example, I could make this card cost 0, I could make it stronger or more resilient, there's a whole bunch of things I could do. So let's just go through, upgrade one of these on camera, and I will say, at the back of the rulebook, let me get that real quick, at the back of the rulebook there are some empty sheets here, where you can write down which of the cards you upgraded with each of these stickers. And so if you don't want to use the stickers and actually mark up your game, you can just write down, okay, I gave the Poison Toad +1 health, and write it there so you know what you upgraded without actually having to use the stickers. If you wanted to be able to replay it and start from scratch in the future, or just didn't want to mark up your cards, you can also put the stickers directly on the card sleeves, which could have a similar effect, although you still would be using up the cards. Although you still would be using up the stickers, so you have to decide what you're doing there. I think I will increase the health of the Poison Toad. I think that would be kind of interesting to see how that works. Maybe you'd be able to get 2 hits in on the enemies before being defeated, or something like that. So we'll see how that works. And maybe that was a terrible idea, and I shouldn't have done that, but we'll see. Yeah, there we go. So we have our upgrade there, and maybe it would actually have been more efficient to decrease its cost by 1, but I don't know, there's only 4 copies of each sticker, so maybe, so I don't know, maybe there's just something else that I could have upgraded that with later. But anyway, now my Poison Toad has 2 health instead of 1, and so that's just a little way that you can then begin to customize your copy of the game. So that's all for today. In the future, I would like to do playthroughs with the other 2 villains in the game, although noting that those will be spoiler-filled by their nature. But anyway, this was a playthrough of Deck of Wonders, playing against Cullin, the starter villain here, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. I've been having a lot of fun with this game. It's just very fast and fun to play. If you did enjoy the video, I'd ask you to like it and subscribe to MalStorm Gaming, then you can be notified whenever I upload more videos. And until next time, happy gaming!